Hopefully. I always worry that it's gonna take a couple seconds for it to click. Hey Mom, it's Bug again. So we are in the Panopticon, and I'm on recording number 9 of this. There are a couple hours of this now, just in case you get bored and need something to do for 24 whole hours. I'm working on that.
Containment failure in
Oh,
Panopticon cell 69.
this is why I love Langston.
69.
That's why I love Langston. I mean, I laughed. I'm an idiot, but I thought it was funny. So theoretically, there's quite a bit of gameplay for you to enjoy. So we are running back to the executive sector to go find our brother Dylan. And literally just occurred to me I could have just fast traveled. I am so smart. You love me so much. It's a damn good thing. Why fast travel when you could avoid enemies by running through areas too quickly? Yay! Let's get to the next area. We'll go over here to logistics and I'll use that fast travel point. Yep, they're shooting at me. Sure are shooting at me. That's fine. I don't need to worry about getting shot, right? So let's fast travel. So we can always use this. Like I said, the control points allow us to fast travel. We want to go check on Dylan. So this is probably going to be a little bit dialogue heavy for this episode because I think we talk to Dylan and then we talk to Emily and we get a bunch of missions and get a bunch of data dump. Marshall is, I think, unfortunately gone for the rest of the game. She was, like I said, she was one of my favorite characters. They're all my favorite characters, but she's a fucking badass. And I think by the time we run that last mission and get sent to Panopticon to find Dylan, she leaves to go do some other job. And in the main game, it's never explained where she's going, but it turns out she went to the foundations of the building, which is the first expansion for this game, which I have not yet played. I just know about it. But so we don't get to see her again for the regular gameplay of Control, but there is an expansion called the Foundation, which honestly I'll probably buy and play later because I just love this game so damn much. So there's something
God, she has to
here.
write everything in her made-up gibberish code. Fucking
Oh, right,
CIA
jukeboxes.
spy shit.
Yeah,
God.
that becomes a thing later on. Arish wants something, or yeah, let's talk to Arish and see what he
I
wants.
found this token.
Yep.
Any idea what it does?
He tells us about this. This is an optional side quest kind
That is
of
a
thing.
jukebox token. Little bastards turn up in the weirdest places, like bad pennies. The Rangers use them to activate an old object of power.
A jukebox, I assume. Does it have any good songs?
Nope, just the one record. Hey, be careful turning it on, though. When it's playing, you get a free trip to the formation.
The formation. That sounds ominous. Why does it send you there?
The Bureau has been wondering that for years. I mean, it's just a pile of rocks built by God knows who, but... Well, researchers have confirmed it's in the same threshold as the quarry. No one's ever been able to map a physical route to the formation for maintenance.
So it's in the quarry. You just don't know where.
The quarry could
Pretty
be a whole
much.
planet.
We only send in annual expeditions to the formation now. Checkups, Salvador calls them. This year's team went in the day the hiss arrived. Come to think of it, the song should have brought them back hours ago.
I can go in and take a look.
I'd appreciate that. The jukebox is kept just past the security booth over there. Just put in the token and enjoy the ride.
All right, I think that's all I need to know about. But like I said, this will be a text-heavy episode or a story-heavy episode. So if you're not interested in that, skip it. But let's hear what
What's the
Arish
deal
has to
with
say about
BlackRock?
some of these items.
Oh, fuck. Don't get me started on BlackRock. You know, ever since research found out that it blocks paranatural stuff, they have just been parading dangerous materials in and out of the fucking quarry. Fucking lab coats, man. Making my job harder.
Sounds like there's some tension between departments.
Still, at least the quarry's got a good view of the night sky. You know, me and Salvador used to have after-work beers down there.
I feel kind of bad about him losing Salvador. It sounds like he was
What
close.
do you know about Dr. Darling?
About as much as anybody, I guess. Head of research, loves to hear himself talk. All of those science types absolutely do. Now he's been acting a little bit psycho recently. Although HR told me not to use that word, so...
Everyone thinks finding Darling will lead us to the answers. But if he's completely lost it, then what help could he be?
Yep, that's the worry.
You're security, right? Do you work with Rangers?
Not often. Rangers are specially trained in threshold reconnaissance and ground zero AWE response. Security is more interested in the dangers inside the Bureau.
They must see some weird stuff out there.
Oh yeah, Definitely. You know, every week they are tackling things that were previously unknown to the human experience. Most Rangers, they retire due to cognitive collapse. I looked up the medical definition. Not fun.
I don't think there's a retirement plan for actual
How does the
FBC
Bureau
employees.
handle thresholds?
Handle might be a bit of an optimistic way to put it. Marshall sends her Rangers in to map them, check growth rates, locate epicenters, take samples, measure stuff, basically.
Sounds like he's done his homework.
Now, down in maintenance, thresholds are used just like any other tool. The lab coats mine black rock from one, maintenance siphons water from another. We use it for pretty much everything, except drinking.
Why don't you drink it? Do I even want to know?
Yeah, a lot of time we find these little chunks in it. It's pretty gross.
I didn't want to know.
I don't think we ever get to visit the
What
threshold
do you
where the
think
water
of
comes
Marshall?
from, which sucks.
Marshall.
I imagine that's where the claws
Marshall's a
comes from.
fucking badass. Rangers
Marshall is a
could not
fucking
ask for a
badass.
better leader. She's a little, intense, but given the stuff she's seen, I'm not surprised. She does have a bad habit of disappearing.
Where does she go?
Last time she vanished, I did some digging into the security logs. I found camera footage of her entering the quarry. She was down there alone for days. Now, typically that's not allowed, but Marshall is kind of above the rules.
I wonder what she finds so interesting in the quarry.
It's past the quarry. So the
I have to go.
threshold entrance
Me
is
too.
in the quarry.
You're not the only one who's busy, you know.
I love that. Actually, that might be my favorite line in the damn game. Because it indicates that Arish
Hey,
is
watch
so
yourself out there.
comfortable with you that he's willing to give you lip. Because at first he's so uptight, and now he's like, nah, no big deal. I got shit to do. All right, so we just picked up television show proposal. This is an Alan Wake Easter egg, kind of. So, based on the success of America Overnight, we'd like to propose the creation of a television series that presents superstition and skeptical thought as entertainment in order to popularize these concepts among the civilian population and create less resistance to redirecting information regarding public paranatural events. We can also use a solid media outlet to test paranatural concepts on civilian audiences, seeing how they react to certain facts presented as fiction in the event that the Bureau ever decides to make certain realities public knowledge. There are various show licenses that we could purchase and reboot rather than starting from scratch. One particular property seems promising, especially considering its content and tone are precisely what we're looking for. It's called Night Springs and has been off the air for a few years now. So Night Springs is like a Twilight Zone-esque show that you run into during the game Alan Wake. So when you're playing Alan Wake, occasionally you'll run into a TV that's playing the TV show called Night Springs, which is very much just a Twilight Zone thing. So, okay, records and research timeline of events. So this is Pope writing it by order of Jesse Faden. So that means it's recent. To examine the invasion's timeline of events for possible patterns in his behavior. Establishing a timeline is difficult at present because of the lack of reliable communications between Bureau sectors and staff. Preliminary models indicate ground zero of the invasion is located within the executive sector. Once it becomes possible to interview surviving personnel, pinpointing the exact location should be feasible. Other outstanding questions that a timeline may help answer. How did the Hiss get past the internal lockdown? How does the Hiss resonance advance through space, deliberately or uniformly? What is their ultimate goal? The outside world, a cross-dimensional destination? Refer to blank for the full report. So basically we know it came from executive, and that's all we know so far. We do find out where it came from, but executive certainly isn't where you wanted it to be. This is a speech analysis. So again, by Emily, by order of Jesse, so this is recent. If we understand the Hiss to be a force based on vibration and resonance, then perhaps their incantation, which is now the agreed-upon term for their vocalizations, is an effort to express that resonance using human vocal cords and speech. Would there be differences in the incantation if the incantation were recited in a different language? The most common used word is want. Interestingly, every usage of the word is attributed to a you. You want to listen. You want this to be true. You must want these waves to drag you away, which, might I mention, is my favorite line in the Hiss incantation. Not that I have a favorite line or that I've listened to the Hiss incantation enough to have a favorite line, because that'd be crazy. It's the line behind the conceptual reality behind this reality, you must want these waves to drag you away. And I'm like, damn, that's a good line. Are we the you the Hiss are referring to? Does the Hiss believe humanity, possibly all non-Hiss life, wants to join it, to be consumed by that? Is it the goal? The second most used words are through and time. Is this possibly the Hiss stating how they arrived here, or an indication of age? There is a clear intention to the words. Dismissing the incantation as nonsense, as some of my colleagues recommended, is beyond idiotic. Refer to blank for the full report. Already, I love Pope. So it's kind of interesting. Pope has this sort of frustrated history to her because Darling wouldn't let her do research. Darling did not give Pope enough information. He didn't share enough with her. He kept a lot of data from her, and I don't think we ever figure out fully why. In fact, at some point, one of Darling's videos, he's like, I shouldn't have done that. That was dumb. But I think it's fascinating because you see in some of Darling's writings, he seems like a real prick. He seems like he's saying, that's a dumb idea, that's a bad idea. In fact, one of Pope's conversations about Darling, she says how he walked into her English or her physics class and like argued with the teacher on how physics works. So Darling seems like a prick. But slowly, as Pope becomes head of research for Jesse, she starts to become a prick. So it's kind of one of those things where just getting a position of power and being in charge of research makes you a jerk. But let's talk to Pope. I mean, I still love her, but she's a jerk.
After all these years, Dylan is here. But am I too late?
How is he? I need to know.
He's clearly been affected by the hiss, but it's different than any other manifestation we've recorded. Maybe what makes you so special is genetic. He was a prime candidate. Or maybe it's Polaris protecting him, something else affecting the situation. I need to run tests. He seems more in control, more present.
I want to see him.
My brother? Or is he?
Of course. Now, Marshall set up an HRA-warded cage to contain him. It's on the upper floor, up the stairs.
Okay, I need to go.
Jesse, be careful.
All right, let's go see Dylan. I love how dirty this room has gotten, how many papers and documents there are. This took me a hot minute to find the first time through. I'm like, on the upper floor? Oh, it's the guys with guns. That makes sense. So here's Jesse's first conversation with her brother in 17 years.
The thunder's hum distorts you. Happiness comes, white pearls, but yellow and red in the eye. Through a mirror inverted is made right. Leave your insides by the door. Push the fingers through the surface into the wet. You've always been a new you. You want this to be true. We stand around you while you dream. You can almost hear our words, but you forget. You are a worm through time.
Well.
The thunder's hum distorts you. Happiness comes. You are a worm through time.
Shit.
The thunder's hum distorts you.
That's
Happiness
Dylan.
comes, white pearls,
Can
but
you hear
yellow and
me?
red in the eye.
Come on, Dylan. I'm here. I found you.
Into the wet. You've always been a new you. You want this to be true.
Do you know who I am?
Oh, you know me. Say it.
You are Dylan Faden's sister.
He's talking in the third person. Always a good sign.
Do you know who you are?
Not Dylan. Trench and Darling made sure of that. I'm P6. P6. But I'm better now. The hiss made me better.
Push the fingers through the surface into the wet. You've always been the new you. You want this
Can you
to
stop
be true.
that? Please?
Not exactly the reunion I'd hoped for.
It feels good to say those words. I want to say them. They sound good. They make me feel good. Don't you want to say them too?
I love the camera cuts in this scene.
Fuck off, no! You need to help me get this thing out of his head. If he is still in there, if there is anything left, you have to help me.
You came in through the hole in you. We let you in. You've always been here. The only truth. A copy of a copy of a copy of a copy.
Stop it!
Orange peel.
Shit! Shit! He can see you. This is not safe.
We found Polaris together with my sister when we were very small, ordinary. In the desert, through the door opened up by the slide projector. But she didn't help when Trench took me away. She didn't give me any powers. All the powers are my own powers. She didn't help when they locked me up for years.
After the song time for applause, we build you till nothing remains. The air cracks and the truth will emerge out of you. You are home.
The Bureau brought the slide projector back here with me. And the Bureau did what the Bureau does. They used it. And they found... They opened the door up to the hiss. That's the only thing I can thank them for.
There it is. We stopped the Altered World event in Ordinary when we shut down the slide projector.
Also, I like that Dylan used I can thank them for.
Now the projector's here.
He reverted to singular, which is nice. We like singular.
In a dream. Baby, yeah. Just plastic. So safe. Nothing to worry about. Funny.
I welcomed the hiss. I let it in. To get rid of her. The hiss set me free. Polaris is using you. The Bureau is using you. You are a puppet.
You can almost hear our words, but you forget.
If we shut off the slide projector, maybe that will stop the hiss.
Your regulations.
Maybe it's not too late for my brother.
You must see the truth for yourself, Jesse. Sister. The horrible truth about the Bureau. The hiss is the better option. Go to the Prime Candidate program in the containment sector. I have the keycard to get you there. Salvador wanted me to have it.
Wanted? Bullshit. I saw what the hiss did to Salvador. What it turned him into.
Okay, Dylan. I'll go. I want to see the truth for myself.
I'll go. But only to look for the slide projector. You can help me. We can end this.
That is the one thing in this game that I feel like was a promise that they didn't actually live up to. He says, you know, you'll have to go see the horrible truth for yourself, and we go and we explore, and there's some bad shit going on, but it's not like the horrible truth. It's like, yeah, the FBC is definitely an amoral fucking faceless government corporation and not a good time, but it's not like, oh my god, the end of the world, everything's fucked up forever. So we can talk to Dylan again and have a few other conversations. I don't know if we can trigger them now.
I don't know what else I'm hoping to find here.
But he'll say
Dylan.
some interesting things that kind of break
Can
the
we
fourth
talk?
wall and talk about the game itself
I'd
in a
like
way.
to tell you about a
Yeah.
dream I had
There's a
last
couple
night.
dreams he talks about.
Off to a good start.
Okay. I'm listening.
I was back in Ordinary before all of this happened. But in the dream, I was alone. It was just me. I was the only child. A girl. My name was Jesse Dylan Faden. But then the Bureau came and caught me, brought me back here, locked me up. Have you ever noticed that our names, Jesse, Dylan, they could be girls' names, boys' names, could be anything. Don't you find that weird? I find that weird.
I don't know, two siblings with names that could be either gender. No, that'd be...
Sure.
The hell was that? Is he trying to mess with me?
So there's two, that one's an interesting one. There's two kind of working fan theories. There's a bunch of fan theories about that interaction, but there's two working fan theories that interest me. And one is that maybe at first this game was designed so that you didn't have a sibling, you were the only child, and the original pitch for this game just had you as the main character, which is interesting and plausible, and probably what the actual truth is. That he's just talking about how when they designed this game, they thought there was just going to be one character named Jesse Dylan Faden, and it'll be interesting. But the other theory is an in-world explanation that maybe before the slide projector there was only one kid, and somehow all the weird shit that happened in Ordinary split them into two. And I like that one. That's kind of a fun idea. Oh, I can finally get some levitation. So the first thing I do, I always try to save some points up so that I can unlock a bunch of levitation, because levitation is my jam. So I can either learn to ground pound. Let's learn that. It's pretty useful. So I'll show you what that looks like right now. back out of all this. So if I can't do it in here. I can't levitate because there's too many good guys around. But if I levitate, I can now slam into the ground and do some damage there. So I can talk to Simon again. I don't think he has anything
I
important
don't
to
think
say.
I ever told you this, but I was actually on the path to
Oh,
being
he
a
must,
ranger once.
because this is a new
Did the whole boot
conversation.
camp thing. Even got rookie status. Anyway, not the point. My old ranger squad was a great bunch. There were 6 plus me. Remus, Hazard, Cho, Guy, Hepton, Stoll, and Thompson. They were supposed to get back from an expedition yesterday. We had beers and wings planned. Problem is, they weren't here when Darling handed out the HRAs.
Then they had nothing protecting them from the hiss.
You see, they prepped for the worst, but I think that we're already past that. We all wore these pouches around our neck, and I really don't want the hiss to get them. Could you find them for me? The squad would have come back through maintenance, but they probably spread out from there.
I'll keep an eye out for them, Arish.
And I won't let them stay hiss.
Yeah, that one's a particularly sad one. He knows they're all dead, or
Me too.
going to have to
You're
be
not the only
killed
one who's
by
busy, you know.
Jesse. And
See you
he's like,
soon.
yeah, no, that's a thing. I should have you kill my old friends and squad mates. And let's see what else Pope has to say. We haven't quizzed her
How
about
are you
random
doing,
fun
Jesse?
facts lately, so let's do
It
that.
can't be easy seeing Dylan like this.
I'm fine. What can you tell me? Is he still... human?
Or is he hiss?
Hard to tell the difference.
I've taken numerous tissue samples and have tests running as we speak, but from the initial data, he looks healthy. I only see corruption in a superficial way.
What does that mean?
I don't know. This is all new.
Might mean
but
nothing.
If he's like you, maybe Polaris is preventing total hiss takeover. Or maybe this is just a new form of hiss. We've already seen how it affects people in different ways.
Dylan told me he let the hiss in. Does that change anything?
Voluntary conversion. I mean, hypothetically, that could affect the mental state post-corruption, as well as the extent of biological alteration.
That's why he's not
But
red and
again,
yellow.
this is new territory for me. I'll need time.
You won't have it. I'm gonna shut down the slide projector. That's how the hiss are getting in. Once I close it, this should all be over.
Jesse, we don't know how this works. If you sever their connection to the source, it could cause a terminal chain reaction. Every hiss-corrupted individual dead.
Better that than what Dylan is now.
I'm shutting it down. This has to end.
I find it
Whatever happens...
interesting because it's hard to tell whether
happens.
Dylan is actually mentally unbalanced because of the hiss, or whether
Okay,
he's just an
just let me know
unpleasant,
how I can
unhappy
help.
young man, which seems
Thank you,
plausible, having
Emily.
been in captivity for 17 years. All right, we were going to quiz Emily and ask her questions about stuff. Let's see what she can give us
Hi,
information
Jesse.
on. She should have new data. Working with Darling and studying
I've been
Dylan.
seeing these Darling presentations all over. Seems like he enjoys the limelight.
So you noticed, huh? When he recruited me out of college, he actually came to visit. He interrupted my physics course by shouting, not quite, Professor, and then marching down to the front of the class where he proceeded to berate the very idea of laws of thermodynamics. Hey, he's been a showboat all his life.
Darling visited you in college?
Yeah, he read a paper I'd published, came to recruit me for the Bureau. I accepted and then spent years waiting for access to the confidential research that Darling promised me. And whenever I ask about my access level, he just mumbles that it's temporarily postponed and then changes the subject to the effect of entropy on luck.
I wonder who else Darling hid his work from. Marshall? Trench?
Probably.
Have you learned anything about Dylan's condition?
Only that he's definitely hiss, but I guess his chanting made that pretty obvious. You know, interestingly, the words of the hiss incantation have an average length of 4 letters.
That's
the
not
most
interesting.
common word used 7 times is want. The next most common are through and time. That's very interesting, don't you think?
I don't care about the words. What about my brother?
Right. Sorry, I got
The
a
two
little
are
off track.
connected.
Well, strangely, his tissue samples all look healthy, unlike the other hiss I've tested.
That's good news. Right?
Oh,
I should
I
get
wanted to
going.
ask about Jesse, but apparently
let
we're
me
not
hold
going to
you
do that. That's fine. That's fine. We don't care. All right, so I have to go find the Prime Candidate program in containment. Dylan said to go there, and that's where I'm going to find out more about the slide projector. So we can start using these a little bit more for fast travel. I don't know if I've been to the level that, yeah, containment, and it's telling me the question mark is where I want to go, and the map isn't loading, as you can see. It's just blank. Sometimes it do that. So what's the nearest we can get? It looks like logistics. Yeah, because then we go through security. Right. So we're going back to we're going right back to where we were actually, which is so funny. So we're going right back to logistics where we warped out of to check that out. I think it's so interesting that some of these characters, you learn more about them through their history. Like I said, because Trench and Darling are gone the entire game. You learn about them not through actual interaction with them, but through other people's stories of them, which is fascinating and fun. But yeah, you can see, I mean, Emily gives Darling shit about being a showboat and not giving her access to information. But then, as soon as she has some dissenting opinions on a particular paper about the Hiss incantation, she says they're idiots. So, like, how are you any better than him? People in academia could really be assholes, which I feel safe to say because I know a lot of people in academia, and a lot of them are assholes. So let's see if we can find, yep, we're going to go straight. Let's see if we can find the Prime Candidate program. And like I said, you discover a couple things about the Prime Candidate program that are, like, not great news, but it's not world-ending. It's not, like, really upsetting. So I'm a little confused. That's why it's like, oh gosh, you're going to find out about the Prime Candidate program and you'll change your mind. One of the things, though, I feel is interesting about the conversation we just had with Dylan, we've been wondering whether or not Polaris is protecting him, right? That was one of the things that we were theorizing on. And they were saying Jesse was worried that Polaris wasn't protecting him, that he was all alone in here. But I think maybe Polaris was here with him and just didn't help, if that makes sense. Because he's so desperate. They dealt quite so much damage when they blew up. He's so desperate to hurt Jesse and Polaris. And I feel like he wouldn't... we're dead. I feel like he wouldn't be so desperate to let the Hiss in to get rid of her, which I'm assuming is Polaris, unless Polaris was there with him. So I think Polaris, or at least part of Polaris, has been with him this entire time, and not helping in the way that Polaris was helping Jesse. And maybe that's because Jesse didn't need help. Maybe Polaris needed Dylan to stay where he was. I don't know. But that's kind of like my working theory for now, is that the reason he's pissed off at Polaris isn't because she abandoned him. It's because she was present and not useful. I feel like for Dylan, right, if you met Polaris in the slide projector and everything went to shit in your hometown, which we find out more about in a bit here, if you met Polaris and had the slide projector and everything go to shit, and then you got captured by shady government agents, you would maybe blame your sister, for sure, for not coming after you and not trying to save you. But I don't feel like you'd blame Polaris because she was only a part of your life for a very brief period there. And then you spend 17 years in the protection of a creepy government agency. I feel like you'd be more pissed at the government agency and less pissed at Polaris for not defending you. Because, like, I mean, you just met her, like, a week before, maybe a month before you got kidnapped by the shady government agency. So I just don't see that kind of a grudge being held unless Polaris has been there for 7 months. So that's my theory. My shitty theory. You know what? Fuck. This room sucks. Alright, I'm gonna have to get serious about this and actually pay attention to what I'm doing, instead of just running through and hoping I can stay alive. One of the other problems with this game is the load time. I mean, I just died, and admittedly it takes a second to load anything, but it probably takes longer than it should to load for these. If you warp within a region and it doesn't have to load a new chunk of the map, it does it very fast. And I died within the same region as my last load point, so it shouldn't have to load any new part of the map. It should have that kind of in its storage, but whatever. I'll clear this room and then I'll save, and then we'll call that the end of an episode. But I swear to God I'll clear this room first, even if I have to do this for 20 minutes. I get lazy and stop using the room like I should. You really need to, like I said, focus on tactics and pay attention to this game, and I just run and gun and I'm like, it'll be fine, I can take these assholes. What I should be doing is getting upstairs as fast as possible, and then I have less people who can shoot me, and I can clear these fuckers out faster. Alright, pick up the health from that guy. We have a orb somewhere. was going to be an orb. Okay, so let's find that orb and murderify it. Gotta kind of stay on the run because of the floaty guy. Where is my orb? Let's try these rooms for a minute. Give me a little bit of cover. Okay, not in here, obviously. Oh, hey! I never picked up this box. I'm just gonna grab that real quick, because why not? Yeah, so there's the health boosting dude somewhere. I'm just not seeing him. First floor, maybe? I don't want to deal with the first floor, but I guess he probably is down here. Yeah, sure enough. You can see his glow from here. Yeah, damn. Okay. So I guess I have to find that orb faster, because, I mean, there's no point in killing the enemies if you don't have the orb taken down, because they'll just resume their health as fast as you can eliminate it. It's really frustrating. Let's give this one more shot. This game's difficulty curve is inconsistent, is the term I would use. It's not bad. It's not a particularly frustrating game by and large. I've had worse games. Bloodborne is one of them. I love Bloodborne. Bloodborne's a really good game, but you die a lot. And some would argue that the game is designed for you to die, considering you can't upgrade your weapons essentially without going to the place where you would go when you die. You, in fact, don't get a weapon until you die. You can avoid dying. It's like literally possible, but the game is designed so that you die, get to an area where you can upgrade your weapons, and then once you come back, you can kill the enemy that killed you in the first place. So that game's worse. That having been said, this game can be maddeningly inconsistent with the difficulty curve, because it will go from relatively easy to very difficult, and some of the bosses are just a nightmare to deal with. I fought the same boss over and over and over before. Keep them down before you, yeah. Just trying to get them to do enough, take enough damage to die before I do. Alright, well that wasn't helpful. Let's take down, I can tell there's a dude here, yep. And let's see if we can get him down enough to get his health. Switch guns too. That's it. There we go, okay. Now everybody should be at a manageable level of damage. Did I didn't kill him. No, did not kill him. Alright, let's kill this guy. Fuck! Standing on the health and it didn't even make a difference. Alright, let's do it again. But rooms like this can get pretty challenging, because if you just have the wrong enemies in there, all of a sudden you're screwed. And alternately, there's a couple things that I haven't been using. You notice I was like juking around. I tried levitating a little bit to get to the second story faster, and that was like not actually that helpful. But I have a shield that I just have not been using in this room, in case you didn't notice. Which is what I mean by the kind of thing where it's like you have to pay attention to like technique, and sometimes I'm just like, no, run a gun, it'll be fine. Maybe use your shield, dumb shit. I mean, it's a room full of enemies that want to shoot your face off. Maybe protect yourself from them a little bit. You know, that would be like forward thinking and challenging, and I don't know if I'm about that life. Alright, let's do this again. Got closer that time. Alright. Where is my spear? Oh, they get their health back so fast too. Sometimes you can get them down while they still have a health sphere, and sometimes you just can't. Ran at the last possible second. Yeah! Okay, so that drops in health. Now I can switch back to my regular gun. And I think the game knew that this room was too hard for me and made it a little bit easier. There we go. Okay. Ugh. It can tell when I'm just like getting my ass kicked. Oh. Just punch him in the face already. There we go. Alright, is that everybody? Is everybody dead? I feel like everybody's dead. Do a quick levitate, look around the room. Nope, somebody's still alive. Anybody else? Any other takers? Are we good? We're good. Oh, and this is the ground pound thing I can do now, which I could have used before. I'm not so good at the strategy bit. Alright, so we got through that section. We were headed to... Oh, we've already raided this area. We are headed to Prime Candidate. So that's somewhere on this wall. We can see by the map that somewhere on this wall here should lead to the Prime Candidate section. And I think it's this doorway back here, which previously we didn't have a security key to. And oh look, Polaris is pointing us directly towards it. Who would have thunk Polaris would point us towards the right place to go? Alright, so we've got a hallway and a metal detector and some hits immediately. Oh, probably shouldn't blow things up in my own face, to be fair. Oh, a file! So, okay, no, that's not what I wanted. Open collectibles was what I wanted. So, mirror supplement. So it gave me the mission self-reflection because I just picked up the mirror supplement, and the mirror supplement triggers that. So, blank, she was admitted to a mental ward for emotional instability soon after relocating to Illinois with her family in 1914. The only item on record again in 2000... The item only appears on record again in 2006 when the Bureau investigated a sudden rise in disappearances in blank, Illinois. Agents found the item hanging in the local library. They contained it quickly, though the missing people of the town were never recovered. Supplementary materials. August 18th, 1915. We certified that the case of Mrs. Blank is shown to be a lunatic under the reasons of hysteria, bad company, and imaginary female trouble. Her fixation with the family looking glass is noteworthy, though not an uncommon matter when considering the female disposition. Miss Carver is a fit subject for the lunatic asylum and will remain in its confines until her affliction has passed. Signed, Dr. Blank. So there's a mirror out there that causes people to go crazy. Well, and people to disappear, I guess. And it doesn't really do either one of those things. It's definitely terrifying, but it doesn't actually cause people to go crazy. So this is the Prime Candidate program.
To find new Prime candidates, the Bureau needs a director.
Trench has crap to say about this.
Our future.
So that's a hotline message.
P7.
Well, we only know about Dylan being P6, so who could P7 possibly be? Let's actually watch that Trench video. Prime candidates.
After North Moore stepped down, I doubled every effort to find new Prime candidates. There was no one. No one but me. That wasn't good enough. I pushed hard. I never wanted the Bureau to end up in that situation again. The Bureau needs a director. Always. When my time reaches an end, I want more options on the table. P1 through P5 were all false leads, dead ends, and disappointments. Then P6, Dylan Faden. He fell into our arms. No parents, they're gone. Casualties of an AWE. The boy has exceptional talent. The oldest house will be his home. We'll build him from the ground up. He'll be trained and taken care of. Darling can be in charge of this project. I can't. I'll stay away. I will not fail the boy like I failed my own family. My daughter,
Trench has
my
existential
wife.
angst over his children.
We
and his
weren't
wife.
careful enough back then. Something came home with me. I took work home. My Susanna got sick. When I realized my mistake, I wanted to bring her here for Darling to do what he could. Kate flat out refused. Civilian doctors treated our daughter, but they didn't have a clue. She died. Kate left me. Same old story. That was a long time ago. The Bureau is all I have now. And the Prime candidates are our future. There are two. P6 and P7. We're spoiled for choice.
I assume that's a little bit Dry humor. Your two options are P6 and P7, and from what I understand, P7 is Jesse. So it's not like you really had too many options. One of the phasings worked out, the other one might not. Oh, pain in my ass. Yeah. Let's kill you guys first. So the good news about the floaty boys is even if they have increased health, if you do enough damage to them, they'll blow up. So it's not like you have to worry about them staying around for too long. Oh, but he's a problem. He is going to be a problem. And so is he. Damn, this room sucks suddenly. Suddenly I don't like this room very much. Yeah, let's get out of here. Oh, didn't need to slam into that wall. That didn't help me at all. Just gave me a minor concussion. Where did the orb go? Was he downstairs now? No. He's over there. Oh, this room sucks, dude. That orb is so aware that I'm trying to shoot it. It will not let me get sight lines on it. Die! Yeah, there we go. Okay, and it gives me some health. No, it doesn't give me any health. Great. Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna get him down first because he's easy. And then we'll take care of this floaty rock asshole who is kind of a pain in my butt. Oh, but there's also some health over here. That's nice, at least. Floaty rock asshole is one of the ones who has a shield, so you have to hit him to get the shield down, and then you have to shoot the hell out of him and hope he doesn't shoot you while you're trying to shoot him. The nice thing about their heads glowing is that it's easy to get headshots. And then you also need to die. So as long as that wall is up, I know that there are still enemies somewhere in this area. I'm betting they're down here, and sure enough, I was right. That get rid of the wall? That got rid of the wall. That means we're good. Okay, this whole room, yeah. So the problem with some of the architecture in here is that you don't get to appreciate it because you're busy getting shot at. This whole room is cool, as you can probably see. There's a couple, let's see, this one has a file or something? Bright Falls supplement. So Bright Falls is where Alan Wake takes place, I think. So Alice Wake, Mr. Wake's wife, was found during a Bureau investigation. She was interviewed and evaluated. She shows severe signs of mental trauma in the form of blank memory loss. She was later directed to treatment. Excluded that she'd been trapped in the threshold during its manifestation. Notable individuals are still missing after the Bright Falls event are FBI Special Agent Robert Nightingale and Dr. Emil Herman. Refer to the Creator's Dilemma, read the file, the Cauldron Lake Lodge. Bureau researchers believe this event was a result of forceful perception of subjective reality stemming from Mr. Wake overlapping on our own. Mr. Wake has been flagged as a potential peri-utilitarian. See Prime Candidate Program for more details. I'm pretty sure he was like P1 or P5 or something. In 2011, a book by Clay Stewart titled The Alan Wake Files was published by Roundabout Press, New York at Olympia. Agents interviewed Clay Stewart and suspected minor peri-utilitarian sensitivity. He was placed under indefinite surveillance. A monitoring station was established at Cauldron Lake to alert the Bureau of any future activity. Cauldron Lake is where Alan Wake took place. It's where the shit hit the fan. And yeah, obviously Mr. Alan Wake would be Alan Wake. So it's very cool to have those in here, basically saying it's the same universe. The reason Alan Wake happened was because of crap that happens in this universe, which I enjoy very much because it just ties them together. And Alan Wake was such a fun game. So I'm supposed to find the P7 candidate files and program and crap, but really what I'm looking for is a control point where I can save for a bit. Let's see if there's one somewhere around here. But this architecture is like beautiful brutalism being warped by the hiss, and it's just lovely. Oh, P7.
What Dylan wanted me to see?
Yeah, guess who P7 is?
We need to find that projector.
Could P7 possibly fucking be? Candidate P7 outfit. Oh yeah, that's a thing that exists. Okay, so it's basically Dylan's outfit, but for Jesse.
All the times I felt paranoid, I was right. The Bureau could have given me the answers, but they just stood by, and watched me.
That doesn't seem like a terrible reveal to me. That's my problem with this. It doesn't seem like that big of a reveal. Jesse Faden movement tracking. September through October 2019. Wyoming, Nebraska, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York. Just saying that I moved that direction. This is kind of a disturbing one. This one's definitely ethically not good.
Me and Dylan, and other kids as well. We loved it. This time, I remember, was different. We found a way in, deeper into it, like it had
So that's me talking on tape.
shifted. We went inside, and that's where we found the slide projector.
A dump is a place for lost things. Things that have been thrown away. Did you ever feel that way when you were growing up, Jesse?
What? No.
And the disturbing part about this isn't that I'm on tape. It's that
Yes. but
Jesse's
that
on
has
tape
nothing
and
to do.
talking
Was
to
there a
her
slide projector at
therapist.
your home when you were small?
Psychiatrist, no less. Not just a therapist, psychiatrist.
No. Those were before your time, I suppose. But your family did look at photos together, maybe. In one form or the other?
Maybe.
When was this? Can you remember? At parties? Barbecues? How did it make you feel? Did your parents ever show pictures that embarrassed you? Was alcohol ever involved at these parties? Did your parents drink? Did that make you uncomfortable?
No. That's just stupid. Come on. That has nothing to do with this. Nothing.
The slide projector, let me ask you this. As a child, did you ever fantasize about worlds inside pictures? Inside a painting? You know, stepping into a painting, into a hidden world, escaping and finding adventure there, away from your parents.
I don't think so. I don't remember. Maybe. I don't know.
So I mean that's a big morally gray kind of thing, upsetting sort of universe plot point. But really, it's also not unexpected. I mean, we knew the Bureau
They
was
studied
fucked
what
up,
happened in Ordinary
so
here.
now we just have
That's the
confirmation
place
that
to
the
start
Bureau was
looking.
fucked up. So this leads me back to the area I was just in. Basically, it's just kind of a loop. So I can go to the P7 room, which is where I just was. I think the P6 room should be Dylan.
I wish things had gone
and
differently in Ordinary for
another
us.
darling presentation.
But wishing won't change things.
Ordinary.
Finding the projector will.
So much coming together in this one case. A new object of power, something we have not seen before. I mean, coming from me, that's saying something. And the boy, Dylan Faden, prime candidate 6. And the sister as well. Once we catch up with her, but the boy, so much potential. We're talking Northmore level readings here. And I don't want to invoke his name. It's completely different circumstances here. It's remarkable.
It's brilliant because all that goodwill you've built up for Trench and Darling goes away in one heartbeat once you realize they knew you existed. They knew about you and they ignored you. It is a big reveal. I don't think it's a big enough reveal. What kind of an incident, Dr. Darling?
We lost a valuable member of our team, yes. Excessive force. Dylan has so much. But he's just a kid. Like, I'll take the blame. He needs some slack. I mean, boys will be boys. He's exceptional.
Boys will be boys as it pertains to murder. Not necessarily. Somebody died. We didn't say Dylan murdered them. Somebody died.
It's an unfortunate accident. That's all.
I don't think you're going to say boys will be boys when somebody dies. If things get blown up, if a car gets wrecked, boys will be boys is fine. If someone dies, now it's like, oh shit, we raised a psychopath. Fuck! So these are Dylan's files as opposed to mine because it's in the P6 room as opposed to P7 room. So transcript Dylan Faden. Yeah. Okay, so this supports my maybe Polaris was with him. Duh, I should have known this. Transcript of conversation for review by Dr. Darling. Subject was alone during this outburst. Okay, 5:52 p.m. You again, I thought you'd leave me alone. 5:52. Why are you showing me this? I can't do anything. Can't you see where I am? Why don't you help me get the fuck out of here? You're always showing me things I can't do anything about. Stop showing her. I don't care anymore. I don't care about you. You both left me here to rot. Fuck off, you bitch. I will dig out my own brains if it means getting rid of you. I don't want you here. Get the fucking message. Subject repeated the phrase fuck off numerous times before being sedated. So, maybe Polaris was trying to show Dylan the fact that Jesse was looking for him, but Dylan didn't want to see it, and he just saw it as the fact that his sister was free and not finding him. Maybe Polaris showed him something else. Maybe Polaris showed him Jesse, but didn't show him how much Jesse was looking for him. I don't know. Maybe Dylan is just a sociopath. And even though his sister was looking for him, she didn't do a good enough job, so he hates her for it. It's really hard to tell with some of these kind of character clues. But it does make for some very interesting theorizing. Here's a dark one. P6 victim autopsy. Agent killed during blank involving blank, codename P6. I'm assuming altercation involving Dylan Faden. Blunt force injuries to the head and neck, extensive trauma of the abdomen, lacerations and contusions in upper torso, fracture of spinal cord between the L1 and L2 vertebrae, avulsion fracture of the 3rd through 10th ribs, left and right, blunt force injuries of the extremities, including abrasions, lacerations, and contusions, dislocation of left and right elbow, dislocation of left and right knee. After examination, it was determined the cause of death was internal bleeding that occurred when the blank was contorted through his blank. Yeah. So, I mean, we say someone was killed and Dylan didn't murder him, that it was just death, that we can't identify it positively as murder, but it sure sounds like murder. These are some of the only, I think, color photos we see on television cameras, or on monitors, and it's CCTV footage of Dylan's cell in a pause frame. The P6 containment cell that's all blown to shit from several different angles. Other than that, I think most of the computers are green screen. Let's see, closed cases. I suppose this will have, a Threshold Kids video. And this was where all the other P applicants were, probably Mr. Wake. Bright Falls summary. Okay, so this is more about Alan Wake. An unconfirmed threshold manifestation in Cauldron Lake, Washington resulted in a fictional short story written by author Alan Wake creating an AWE in which reality was altered to match that of the story, though only locally and for a limited time. Mr. Kirkland, head of investigations, was alerted on September 13, 2010 by ex-Bureau agent Frank Breaker that an AWE was taking place in Bright Falls, Washington, referred to the events in 70, 76, 78. Breaker received a call from Barry Wheeler, Alan Wake's literary agent, I love Barry, on behalf of Breaker's daughter Sarah, who's the current sheriff of Bright Falls. Oh yeah, Sarah's a badass. A Bureau field team arrived at the site 2 days later only to confirm the event was over. Interviews were conducted. Refer to the 1970 blank Thomas Zane, 76, 78 Odin and Tor Anderson. Alan Wake was believed a blank instigator. Eyewitness reports highlight an old switch, possibly an object of power that blank missing. Wake was not found at the scene. Reports claim he dived into the lake, but no body was recovered. So I'm going to grab this Threshold Kids video, and then as soon as this is over, we're going to go end this episode. Threshold Kids are always creepy as hell. And the fact that you have to watch them at this weird angle helps. No, I don't know what that opening audio says. I can't understand it at all. It's probably for the best. Probably something creepy.
I can see you're upset, Meg. Why don't you tell Uncle Mr. Bones what's wrong?
I did bad on my clairvoyance test.
You can't ace every test, Meg. You see, everyone has different brains. Some brains can talk to each other. We call this ESP. Some brains can lift objects like a baseball. Talk about a fly ball, eh, Meg?
Sorry, that was the phone making noise. noise.
So who cares if you fail your clairvoyance test? Maybe your brain can throw baseballs, or talk to dead people, or make friends blind. Once we know what your brains can do, we'll know what job to give you. And if your brains are just right, you'll get to sit in the big chair.
Pans to the big chair. It's just a chair prop.
What if I don't want the big chair?
What if I don't want the big chair? Everyone wants the big chair, Hank! That's why we're all here. Use those brains to listen for once. The only chair you'll get in is the one with straps.
But everybody wants the big chair, Meg. So that's an incredibly dark Threshold Kids video. Yay, Threshold Kids! Making everyone paranoid about everything forever. Alright, so let's head back out. Let's see, we need to go to, where were we going? Logistics. So we're going to jump down here. I'm going to hit the save point just so I can save my progress and don't lose it. And then we'll call the episode over. I do like that. It is interesting, though, of course, you notice Meg's a redhead in the Threshold Kids videos. I think, obviously, that the videos were intended for the kids. They were made with the intention that both Jesse and Dylan would be in the oldest house, being trained to be prime candidates from a young age, but they just never caught up with Jesse for whatever reason. And you can assume that Polaris kept her out of their reach, or just she's really, really good at running away. It's hard to tell. But it is interesting that these Threshold Kids videos were probably made with the intention that Jesse would be there and would watch these at some point, as well as Dylan. So Meg was supposed to be Jesse, or at least supposed to be, a kind of parallel for Jesse. And then, of course, because everything in this universe is all fucked up, in the Threshold Kids videos, poor Meg is kind of the more important of the characters, the more relevant of the characters. She has better questions, and she gets yelled at more. The other boy character in the Threshold Kids videos doesn't get screamed at as much, though he does seem dumber. I can't remember his name right now, but he's a creepy little puppet as well. So it's just the parallels there are obviously intentional, and I wonder if that was something that, was just a parallel they threw in where they're like, oh, there's going to be 2 kids in the Threshold Kids videos, let's make the girl a redhead because it'll match Jesse, which makes sense. That, of course, is true. But what's more interesting is the in-universe parallels of whoever made the Threshold Kids videos being like, what color hair is your sister's? Like, what color hair does she have? We'll make the puppets look like that, which is a weird thought. Dylan had very, very shitty caretakers as a small child, which is unfortunate. You can start to kind of pity him being trapped here. And like I said, while the idea that you're stuck in this house where they knew you existed, that you were looking for them and they were looking for you, and somehow the two just never met up and it never worked out. It is supposed to be a reveal, and you're supposed to feel betrayed by the FBC because they're not just some organization that protects people from villainy. They've also completely fucked up your brother and were intimately involved in your life, even though you didn't know it. It just doesn't seem like a big enough reveal to let the Hiss into the universe and destroy all life on the planet. I feel like maybe Dylan's overreacting a little bit, but I don't think Dylan's that mentally stable even when he doesn't have the Hiss in his skull. So that's part of that. Alright, well, this was fun. I hope you had a good time. I hope you enjoyed watching this one, even though it was a lot more text and audio file heavy than some of the last ones. If you're my mom, I love you. And if you're not my mom, I also love you. Everybody have a good day.